This story is a work of fiction, inspired by real events. Names, dates, locations, and identifying details have been changed or dramatized to protect privacy and enhance the narrative. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental or used fictitiously. This content is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. It does not aim to glorify crime, promote violence, or pass judgment on real individuals. Viewer discretion is advised. Some scenes may contain mature, disturbing, or triggering content. What you are about to watch could have happened anywhere, to anyone. It's inspired by real events. Whispers of truth, buried beneath layers of fiction. We've changed the names, the dates, the locations, but the emotions, the betrayal, the fear, those are real. This story is not meant to accuse, only to reveal, to make you question, who do you really trust? If stories like this keep you thinking, long after they end, hit subscribe, smash like, and drop your theory in the comments. Now watch closely, before the truth disappears again.
It was supposed to be paradise. June 18, 2022, the turquoise waters of Belize shimmered under the morning sun, warm and inviting. Two newlyweds stood on the edge of a dive boat, their hands intertwined, ready to begin a honeymoon they had planned for months. But within minutes, forever ended. Witnesses would later report seeing the bride's body floating, motionless, while her husband stayed nearby, watching silently. Her name was Tiana Brooks, 27, a nurse from Houston, disciplined, ambitious, and beloved by friends and family. His name was Malik Carter, 31, an IT consultant, calm, intelligent, a man who seemed always to have control. What began as a dream escape ended in a death so strange that even seasoned investigators questioned what really happened beneath the waves. Because what the water hides, forensic evidence can reveal. And when investigators examined dive records, gear placement, and digital footprints, they uncovered a story far darker than an accident. Here we uncover the truths that hide behind smiles, vows, and paradise vacations. If you believe every paradise casts a shadow, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden secret that drowned a marriage before it even began. Let's begin. They looked flawless together. Two professionals from Houston, educated, ambitious, and seemingly destined for a life of success. Tiana Brooks grew up with her mother's values of patience and faith. She worked long shifts as a nurse, saving for her own apartment, dreaming of starting a small clinic. Her kindness and empathy were known to everyone she met. Malik Carter was quiet, meticulous, intelligent. He worked in IT, solving problems that few could even see. He met Tiana at a charity tech event downtown. Their connection was immediate, shared laughter, shared ambition, and shared dreams of a life far from ordinary. Within 6 months, Malik proposed. Friends later recalled how quickly their relationship moved, some whispered, too fast. But Tiana was enchanted, convinced that this was love meant to last forever. Even so, subtle signs went unnoticed at the time. Tiana sometimes cancelled outings, hesitant to share every detail of her life. A bridesmaid remembered her quietly saying, "Malik doesn't like when I go out without him." Small words, easily ignored, but retrospectively haunting. The wedding was a Houston ceremony filled with family, music, and laughter. On April 10, 2022, Tiana walked down the aisle radiant in white. The couple danced as if every step promised eternity. 2 days later, they boarded a plane to Belize, smiling for photos, unaware that paradise held a darker truth beneath the calm blue waves. As their plane touched down, no one could have imagined that Tiana's life, so full of promise, skill, and compassion, would end not in illness, not in misfortune, but underwater, within reach of the man who had vowed to love her forever. And yet, the first signs of danger were already there, quietly woven into their perfect story, waiting to surface. 2 days into their honeymoon, Tiana and Malik joined a small dive group off the coast of Belize. The sun glittered on the turquoise water, calm and inviting, masking the silent danger that sometimes hides beneath the surface. Tiana had never dived before. She clutched her regulator and mask, her fingers trembling slightly, glancing at Malik for reassurance. He smiled, calm and composed, exuding the confidence of someone who claimed years of diving experience. The instructor, a local guide with 2 decades of experience, briefed the group. Stay close to your buddy. Equalize slowly. Never panic. Safety first. Tiana nodded, forcing a smile, hiding the anxiety rising in her chest. At 10:58 a.m., they slipped beneath the surface. The water enveloped them, cool, silent, alive. Other divers' cameras captured their descent. Bubbles rose like fragile specters around Tiana as she struggled to equalize her ears. Malik glanced back once, then moved forward, steady and deliberate. Minutes later, the instructor noticed Tiana signaling distress. Her movements were jerky, her regulator tilted. She reached upward, panic flickering across her eyes. Malik remained near her, unusually calm. He didn't reach out. He didn't guide her to safety. He simply observed. Then the regulator dislodged completely. Tiana's kicks became frantic. Her hands clawed at her BCD straps and mask. A diver behind captured a flash of something unsettling, Malik's hand brushing near her tank as she twisted in the water. At 11:42 a.m., the instructor surfaced her, unconscious. CPR began immediately on the boat deck. 25 minutes later, her heart had stopped. Forensic reconstruction later revealed the sequence of events did not resemble a typical diving accident. Her movements, gear placement, and the timing of her distress signals indicated that she had been incapacitated before water claimed her. No panicked removal of gear, no instinctive ascent, only struggle, silent beneath the surface. The ocean had hidden a violent truth. And as Tiana lay lifeless, the man who promised to protect her floated nearby, a witness, a suspect, and the center of a tragedy that would haunt investigators for years. Initially, Belizean authorities labeled it a tragic accident, a honeymoon dive gone wrong. But the autopsy conducted in Houston told a more complex story. Tiana's lungs were filled with salt water. She had drowned. Yet forensic pathologists noted subtle signs of struggle. Bruising along her upper arms suggested restraint. Faint abrasions appeared on her neck and shoulders, injuries inconsistent with a normal diving panic. Her regulator had been partially dislodged, but her weight belt remained fastened. This combination raised questions: why hadn't she fought to remove it, or surfaced instinctively? Nitrogen bubbles were absent in her blood, indicating she hadn't ascended rapidly. She had remained submerged, struggling, but unable to breathe. Investigators retraced the dive sequence. The instructor recalled Tiana signaling distress repeatedly while Malik remained unusually composed. Underwater footage from other divers confirmed this calm, as panic overtook her. Digital evidence added another layer. Malik's searches in the weeks before the trip included, "Can a diver survive if the regulator comes out?" and "Life insurance claim abroad." A $500,000 life insurance policy listed Malik as sole beneficiary, adjusted days before departure. Forensic reconstruction teams recreated the dive in a controlled pool, using identical gear and water conditions. The results confirmed the injuries and movements could not be explained by accident alone. Tiana's body, the timing of her distress, and the placement of her equipment suggested external interference. Tiana's family, grieving and suspicious, described her as strong, cautious, and an excellent swimmer. For them, the official, accidental drowning, narrative felt incomplete. Even subtle details, scratches on gloves, the orientation of her body underwater, became critical pieces of evidence. Investigators began to consider the chilling possibility: if she had not drowned by chance, someone else may have caused it. The calm, turquoise waters had hidden a violent act. And as the investigation unfolded, one question dominated every scene, every report, every witness statement: who had the power, and the intent, to take her life beneath the waves? In the days after Tiana's death, the honeymoon paradise turned into a house of questions. Friends and family struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the calm he displayed as she struggled underwater. Police noted discrepancies in Malik's statements almost immediately. He described the dive in precise, clinical detail, emphasizing his own actions while minimizing moments of panic. Investigators asked themselves, why did he remain calm as Tiana flailed? Why did he not act to save her? Subtle behaviors, once overlooked, now raised concern. He had controlled every aspect of the honeymoon, the bookings, the itinerary, even the payments. He discouraged Tiana from attending social events, quietly isolating her in the final weeks before their trip. Friends recalled remarks that now seemed ominous. She panics too easily. I'll take care of it. Digital evidence added another layer. Searches included, can a diver survive if the regulator comes out, and life insurance claim abroad. The timing of a $500,000 life insurance policy, updated just days before departure, raised immediate red flags. Neighbors reported arguments in the weeks prior, quiet but intense. One friend remembered Tiana confiding, he watches me too closely. I don't feel free. Forensic reconstruction reinforced concern. Divers replicated the sequence in a controlled pool using identical gear. Every movement, every flail, every struggle was reviewed. The abnormal calm Malik exhibited underwater was highly atypical for a spouse witnessing a partner in distress. By the end of the first week, the narrative had shifted. What initially appeared as a tragic accident now carried the possibility of deliberate action. Evidence, behavior, and motive converged, painting a disturbing picture. Every detail, digital searches, life insurance, witness testimony, dive reconstruction, suggested one question: was Malik Carter complicit in the death of his bride? The paradise they had envisioned now cast a long, dark shadow. With mounting evidence, Houston authorities began to treat Tiana Brooks' death as a potential homicide. What had started as a tragic accident was now a full investigation. Police assembled a timeline. Underwater footage, witness accounts, and dive reconstruction consistently contradicted Malik's initial statements. Each detail strengthened suspicion. Detectives arranged an interview at the Houston Police Department. Malik arrived neatly dressed, calm, almost rehearsed. Cameras recorded every word. When asked about Tiana's distress underwater, he described the events with unusual precision, emphasizing his actions while downplaying her panic. Forensic experts briefed detectives. They reviewed the autopsy results. Bruising on her arms, minor abrasions on her neck, and the unusual positioning of her equipment. Combined with digital searches and the life insurance policy, the evidence suggested deliberate consideration rather than accident. During the interrogation, investigators applied psychological techniques. They highlighted inconsistencies between his account, the dive footage, and witness testimony. They asked about pre-trip behavior, finances, and life insurance. Micro-expressions, brief hesitations, and fleeting eye contact avoidance were meticulously noted. Within 48 hours, probable cause had accumulated. Malik Carter was formally arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter and insurance fraud investigation. Authorities emphasized that the investigation was ongoing, but the evidence indicated a serious breach of trust and law. News of the arrest shocked the community. Friends and family struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the man facing formal charges. For investigators, however, the arrest marked a critical turning point. The calm, turquoise waters of Belize had concealed a death. Now, forensic evidence, behavioral analysis, and digital traces had combined to form a compelling narrative. A bride had died in circumstances she should have survived, and the person closest to her had been present the entire time. Paradise had become a crime scene. And the investigation was only beginning. Months after the tragedy in Belize, the Houston courtroom became a stage for a story that gripped the city. Tiana Brooks' death was no longer a distant tragedy, it had moved into the public eye, examined with precision before a jury of 12. The room hummed with quiet tension. Cameras lingered at the edges. Spectators whispered. The judge's gavel struck, demanding attention. Justice would be measured here, step by step, fact by fact. Expert witnesses took the stand. Forensic pathologists described subtle bruising on Tiana's arms, abrasions on her neck, and unusual placement of her diving equipment. Every detail mattered. The partially dislodged regulator and the still-fastened weight belt were inconsistent with a panicked ascent. Competent divers would have instinctively corrected these issues while surfacing. Dive reconstruction specialists demonstrated the sequence in a controlled pool. Tiana's movements, every kick and flail, were replicated. Yet Malik's calm behavior underwater, captured on footage, remained highly atypical. The experts emphasized, a spouse witnessing a partner in mortal distress rarely remains composed. Digital forensic specialists presented Malik's online searches, drowning survivability, regulator manipulation, life insurance claims abroad. The jury saw the timeline, aligned with his pre-trip activities. The prosecution highlighted why these searches mattered. They suggested preparation, not idle curiosity. Witnesses added context. The dive instructor recounted Tiana's repeated distress signals. Fellow divers confirmed her flailing and gestures. Friends and family described subtle tension in her relationship with Malik. These statements reinforced the forensic narrative, linking behavior, motive, and opportunity. Throughout the trial, the courtroom remained tense. The defense challenged witness memory and questioned interpretations. Yet, with each piece of evidence, the pattern of anomalies grew clearer. The jury absorbed every fact, understanding not only what happened, but why it mattered. By the first week's end, the courtroom held a silent wait. A bride had died in circumstances she should have survived. And the man closest to her had been present the entire time. The stage was set for deeper forensic scrutiny, for the unraveling of digital traces, dive physics, and financial motives that would shape the trial's next chapters. The prosecution now delved into the evidence with meticulous precision. Each fact, alone, might appear isolated. Together, they formed a mosaic, revealing the full story beneath the turquoise waters. Dive equipment came first. The partially dislodged regulator and still-fastened weight belt indicated interference. The BCD straps showed abrasions inconsistent with normal panic behavior. Experts explained why this mattered. A competent diver would have instinctively corrected these issues while ascending. Autopsy findings reinforced the anomalies. Bruising on the arms suggested restraint. Minor neck abrasions indicated contact, not accident. Lung and airway analysis confirmed drowning, but the sequence of struggle and incapacitation deviated from typical diving deaths. Each point mattered, building a factual chain for the jury. Digital evidence was presented next. Malik's pre-trip searches about drowning survivability, regulator manipulation, and life insurance claims were time-stamped and cross-referenced with his financial activity. The prosecution emphasized the significance. Preparation, opportunity, and potential motive converged. The life insurance policy, updated days before departure, named Malik as sole beneficiary. Legal, yet suspicious in timing. Forensic accountants explained why the proximity to the honeymoon was relevant, demonstrating how motive aligned with opportunity. Witnesses strengthened the narrative. The instructor described repeated distress signals while Malik remained calm. Fellow divers corroborated panic gestures. Friends and family recalled early isolation tactics and controlling behavior, reinforcing patterns the forensic evidence suggested. Summarizing, the prosecution explained why this mattered. Alone, a bruise, a search, or calm behavior might be dismissed. Together, they formed a consistent narrative of behavior, opportunity, and possible intent. The jury followed each step, understanding how evidence, when layered, revealed a troubling sequence of events. Tiana Brooks' story, once hidden beneath calm waters, was now laid bare. Every bruise, every search, every equipment anomaly contributed to a pattern. And with each revelation, the jury moved closer to understanding the truth of what had transpired that fateful day. Outside the Houston courtroom, the city held its breath. Friends, neighbors, and family struggled to reconcile the tragedy of Tiana Brooks' death with the man accused of standing by as she drowned. Headlines screamed shock, but behind the stories were grief, confusion, and lingering questions that no news report could answer. Tiana's family gathered quietly, holding on to memories of her laughter, her care, her precision. Her mother spoke softly to reporters, recounting how Tiana had always been disciplined, aware of her surroundings, a competent swimmer. Her death, under calm waters, felt inexplicable. Every word carried disbelief, sorrow, and a subtle edge of anger. Friends shared similar reflections. They spoke of Tiana's joy, her excitement for the honeymoon, and of Malik's calm, sometimes controlling demeanor. Subtle tension in the weeks prior now seemed ominous, linking in their minds to the digital and forensic evidence being presented in court. The community reacted in layers. Dive instructors, neighbors, and co-workers expressed shock. How could such a tragedy happen in the presence of a competent diver? Others focused on forensic findings, the injuries, gear anomalies, digital traces, recognizing the patterns that suggested more than misfortune. Social media amplified the storm. Condolences poured in. Discussions about digital footprints, insurance, and underwater behavior spread across forums and comment sections. Strangers debated the evidence, echoing the questions investigators had asked months before. Inside the courtroom, the jury observed these reactions. They watched Tiana's family, felt the weight of their grief, and understood that justice was more than a verdict, it was accountability. The emotional tension outside mirrored the procedural tension inside, reminding all that this was not only a trial of facts, but of trust, behavior, and the fragility of life. Houston waited. Grief, shock, and silent questioning hung in the air, underscoring that the upcoming verdict would resonate far beyond the courtroom walls. After weeks of testimony and forensic presentations, the courtroom fell silent. The jury had withdrawn to deliberate. Outside, the city held its collective breath. The fate of Malik Carter, the man present as Tiana Brooks drowned, was in their hands. Inside, 12 jurors reviewed each detail. They weighed the dive reconstruction, the autopsy findings, Malik's online searches, and the life insurance policy. Every bruise, every flailing gesture, every timestamp was debated. The question loomed, reckless accident or conscious disregard? Hours turned into days. Could a single unusual action underwater be accidental? Did the combination of behavior, digital searches, and financial planning suggest intent? The deliberation was painstaking, methodical, and guided by law. Finally, they returned. The courtroom, tense and expectant, held its breath. Malik Carter stood as the foreperson spoke. Cameras captured every second. Family members leaned forward. Friends whispered to one another. "We, the jury, find the defendant." Gasps echoed. Relief, sorrow, and a muted sense of justice intertwined. Malik Carter was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. The jury concluded that behavioral patterns, forensic evidence, and digital traces demonstrated reckless disregard, resulting in Tiana Brooks' death. Investigators noted that an insurance fraud inquiry remained ongoing. For the family, it was a measure of closure. For investigators, it validated meticulous work, reconstructing a tragedy, following evidence, and uncovering the truth hidden beneath calm waters. Paradise had been shattered, but justice had arrived. Tiana Brooks' life, once lost, was honored through accountability. And while no verdict could restore her presence, it offered a final acknowledgement: human actions, and the secrets they conceal, are never truly hidden. Tiana Brooks' life was cut tragically short, but the truth has come to light. Justice has been served, and her story reminds us that every detail matters. If you want to uncover more hidden truths and shocking real-life crimes, like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, so you never miss a story waiting beneath the surface.